Seanad. Thank you, witnesses, for being here today. I apologise for coming in and out. I'm at different committees. In previous sessions, we have discussed similar ESRI, population trends, etc. And we recently had the GAA, which we're in, showing that some counties are growing quickly in population, particularly in the east and in commuter areas where I live myself, whereas others are experiencing decline or ageing. And that places pressures on local services, but also it places huge pressure on the viability of those towns and villages. The CCMA has stated that every county is different and that each council understands its own requirements best. You've also indicated that additional support is required from a range of stakeholders to deliver the effective solutions. So I'm just wondering, in counties that are experiencing strong population growth, what is the main barrier here to housing delivery? Is it a shortage of planners? Is it infrastructure delays? But also, as my colleague Seamus here has mentioned, is it underfunded social and community infrastructure that is lacking in those areas?
I suppose, well, Alan is here from Kildare, so it might be very relevant. But look, I think the reasons for housing delivery and the growth of housing delivery is well documented, you know, and as a matter of fact, the bars have gone up considerably over the last number of years since the recession, if you like. But what we strongly advocate is we're not just building houses, we're building communities. And what's important there for us is not just the utility infrastructure, but the community infrastructure, the health infrastructure, the sporting infrastructure, the cultural infrastructure is also provided. And a key issue for us is that we can build or support the construction of housing, but then we have to compete for funds for all the rest, you know what I mean, or engage with the Department of Education in terms of planning schools and the Department of Health in terms of planning hospitals. So the important element is for us is that the entirety is delivered along with the housing to support that population.
So it's all joined up together, and you mentioned Alan is from Kildare, so just in my own area, and I presume, Alan, you'll know yourself that the problem isn't the lack of people, but the problem is that there's a lack of supports for those people, community centres and that. And when I was growing up there, the Kildare I knew has radically changed. Before it was largely rural, it was 30% urban, 70% rural. Nowadays it's 85% urban. So I presume that brings huge challenges to the local authority, but also I'm in rural Kildare, and I come up the N7 and I see the challenges of an increasing population even in our own area. So I'm just wondering, with the increased zoning, what effect is this going to have for the local authority?
Yeah, thanks, Senator. Yes, I suppose we probably face our own unique challenges. We have 7 towns over 10,000 population, 3 over 30, soon to have another town over 10,000. Our allocation over the next up to 2040 is in the region of 40,000 units. That's somewhere between 80 and 100,000 people. Our planning frameworks, as the regulator would know, we zone swathes of land for open space, recreation. We'd have objectives about the provision of community centres and all the rest of it. But as Fergal has said, we have to compete nationally then for funding to develop that. So we try to do an awful lot of work with the House Builders Association to try and make sure that they bring social infrastructure along with them in terms of housing delivery. We have to be very careful in a county like Kildare because the issue of affordability is always a challenge. We're doing a lot of work in terms of the affordable local authority affordable home purchase scheme. We would be starting to use the Part 5 contribution there to try and help affordability. But I suppose our big challenge is resources. Okay. And the competitive nature of the grant structures.
So housing is important. But for example, in Kildare, in my own area, sports, amenities, facilities, they're sort of non-existent for the population that is there already.
Yeah, and our active recreational, our RE study, our active recreational infrastructure study would say that we're about 78, 80 playing pitches short for our current population. And that puts an awful lot of pressure on the voluntary sector, as Fergal has said. But yeah, again, it goes down to resources within our local authority to deliver, and funding to, I suppose, deliver as well. Like our development contribution scheme is only that; it's only a contribution to the cost of the infrastructure that's required.
Okay, can I just ask, I've been called up now to the Seanad, so I have to leave in a minute, but the Department of Finance, the 500 extra planners, have they been fully funded regarding, that was to say, is there a current funding gap there, or is that creating a shortfall?
Sorry, Senator. I don't know. I don't know. It would be Department of Public Expenditure who'd be dealing with the housing vote on the funding for those planners. So, apologies, but I'm not in a position to say whether or not they have been.
Okay, so maybe the OPR. Can you answer that? Have you facilitated that, or have we enough planners?
Senator, again, it's just not directly within our remit, but I'm aware that there is a ministerial action plan for planning resourcing. There's a multi-annual programme in relation to funding that. There was an initial, I suppose, recruitment of planners at graduate level. Others from the CCMA might be better placed to comment on that than I. And, progress in relation to progressively implementing that ministerial action plan, the 541 posts that were identified in the strategic workforce plan by the local government sector, is a matter of engagement going on between the Department of Housing and the Department of Public Expenditure and the local authorities in that. And progress, I understand, is being made.
Are many of those posts filled?
Again, the local authorities were probably better placed to speak on that, but I think we're close to halfway.
Okay. And just one thing about Kildare, just the N7, the DART. I was, I parked here the other day. I went down to Dunleary. The DART coming down southwest would be a game changer. So, I mean, transport infrastructure as well as sports facilities and amenities. That's the focus. Thank you, Cahilloch. Thanks, Peter.